There is an African proverb, until the lions have their historians, tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. But I am a lion. We are lions. And in this house, we tell the lion's tales. In this house, we tell what? In this house, we tell the lion's tales. In this house, when we speak of Islam, we share stories of peace. In this house, when we talk of earth-based practices, we share of interdependence and balance. In this house, when we talk of Christianity, we share from the perspective of nonviolence, social justice, and love. So why do we celebrate Easter today? At this church, we don't have to. That's the beauty of choice. This is a place where we can share and learn from different faith perspectives. We can find our own paths. We can seek our truth. Truth, not facts. As Maya Angelou would say, facts can obscure the truth. I don't know about you, but I have sat through a court trial as a juror. And if you've ever sat through a court trial, you know they can throw so many facts that you're confused and you don't even know what to believe. Here, we seek truth. Today's story comes from the Christian tradition. It is the story of a great teacher who long, long ago preached love. He was a kid who was born with a huge calling on his life. He grew up to be a teacher because that's what spiritual leaders and clergy are. We're teachers. Jesus taught that we should love one another, that we should care for others and do hard things, like forgive people who hurt us and love. In his lifetime, he was a community organizer. He organized with 12 people known as the disciples. They were like his lay leaders. They were everyday people, tax collectors, revolutionaries, fishermen, etc. They traveled with Jesus and listened to him preach day after day. In Jesus' time, many of the society's leaders and the officials, the government officials, did not like him. As he and his ideas of love and justice became more popular, the leaders planned to kill him. One of Jesus' disciples, his friends, right, betrayed him and helped the leaders with their plan. The night before Jesus died, he was at a dinner, a Seder, celebrating the Jewish holiday of Passover. The next day, he was arrested and then executed like a common criminal. When they took Jesus' body down from public display and they buried him according to Jewish burial customs, they wrapped his body in a linen cloth and placed him in a tomb. The entrance to the tomb was sealed with a large stone, and guards were stationed there to prevent anyone from stealing his body. However, here's the interesting part of the story. Something miraculous happened on the third day, in the evening at sunset. Women had come to the tomb to anoint Jesus' body, and people rolled the stone away. And the tomb was found empty. The body was gone. Only the linen cloth that Jesus had been wrapped in was found. As you can imagine, the women were shocked, and they ran to tell others what they had seen. I will tell you that culturally, as a Black woman in my community, on the hardest days, the days when we get the news of a Sandra Bland, a George Floyd, and Emmett Till. We hold on to the metaphorical truth that on the third day he got up. On the third day, the impossible happened. Things have changed. There was an intangible shift that you can feel when something has changed. Now, like any good storyteller, you know that I have to tell a story within a story. So I'm going to tell another story. And those of you who work on our church liability policies, I want you to close your ears and your eyes for this moment. Shh, this didn't happen. Okay. Shh, you can't hear this. Several years ago, a friend and I spontaneously decided to do something way out of our comfort zones. We go to a fire walk. So don't try this at home, okay? Like, this was run by an experienced group, not just random people playing with matches. I promise. Like, okay. So for like an hour, there's like this long safety talk and motivational talk. And they also give you permission, like, this may not be your day to walk. Like, you'll know if it's your day. If not, it's okay, right? But we're going to do this together. And so collectively, we go outside and we build this giant roaring fire. And then when the flames die down, they rake the coals out along a path. Then the walk begins. Again, you don't have to, but if and when you're ready, you walk across the long paths of coals, like you're walking down a Soul Train line or a red carpet, right? Or the center aisle of the sanctuary. I kind of was like, okay, we doing this? All right, we doing this. Okay. We intentionally signed. What? Okay. And I want you to know that I walked across that path 3 times. And there was one time that I had doubt, right? I was thinking, okay, maybe this was a trick, right? Like they're not really hot coals, right? And then in that exact moment, my feet were kissed by the fire, as they call it. Oh, it's kissed, that's the people that do fire. They go, oh, you might get kissed by the fire. And I was like, oh, no, they're hot. And I completed the walk. So I did 3 loops. The very next morning, I met my running group down at Town Lake, and we did our usual run around Town Lake. And I was amazed because I was like, the night before, I had walked across fire, and yet my feet weren't burned. There was no blister. There was no evidence that I had done this. So sometime later, I'm back at work, and I was telling at the time was I worked in a government office, and my coworkers were listening to what'd you do this week? And I was like, well. And so one of them asked me, she was like, Simone, what was the point of that? Like, what do you get out of that experience? And so I was like, that's a good question. So I thought about it. And then I said, well, it expanded my idea of what is possible. You see, now I know the difference between facts and truth. Fact, fire is hot. Fact, bare skin on hot coals burns. Both are true statements, right? But I had walked on hot coals and not gotten burned. That was truth. That fire walk made me think that perhaps there was room for additional truths in my life. So now back to our story. There are many who believe that after Jesus was killed, that he soon appeared to his disciples alive, and that he later ascended into heaven, and he lives. That's the story. Impossible, some say. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. And I'm not even here to tell you that you have to believe in the divine. I am here to tell you that believing in the impossible is the cornerstone of this faith, this UU faith. expanding what we know to be true and expanding what we know to be possible. You see, we believe in the impossible. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Impossible. We believe in love, even in a world filled with so much hate. We believe in justice in a country that has bias and inequity and unfairness at its core. We believe in joy while our hearts ache for Palestine and Israel. This is a faith where we expect the impossible. We expect impossible change. I'm going to close with this. There's an illustrated cartoon of a person who is digging deep in the dirt looking for a diamond. The hole is taller than they are, so it's evident that they've been working for a long time. In the cartoon image, we can see that the person digging, we can see what the person who is digging can't see. That just a few more shovels, a giant treasure awaits. But they gave up. That image can represent us. We're tired of waiting on the world to change. But we've come so far, we can't give up now. We've got to hold out for the miracles of changed hearts, the evidence of new policies, the intangible feeling of safety. We have got to expect the impossible. In the story of Jesus, they killed a man, but something amazing happened. The movement carried on. We're still talking about him and his work to this day. When I think of the story of Jesus, I think of the Harvey Milks, the Marsha P. Johnsons, the Martin Luther Kings, the Cecilia Gentiles, the Cesar Chavezes, the Mirabal sisters, the Mariposas, and countless others who died believing in the impossible, that the world could do better. They are gone, but the movements live on. I expect a miracle because miracles do happen. Impossible things have happened in my lifetime. I just can't give up now because we've come too far. I think of the daughter of George Floyd, the Black man who was killed by a white police officer who had his knee on him for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. On Monday, her father was killed. By the third day after he died, word had spread and protests erupted around the country. And some days later, we can hear little 6-year-old Gianna Floyd as she sat on the shoulders of a family friend with joy on her face and love in her voice as she proclaimed, "My daddy changed the world. My daddy changed the world." And I believe that it's our duty to make sure that he did. As people of love, justice, and joy, we expect the impossible. We will change this world. Don't give up. We've come too far. We can't stop now. We must keep pressing forward. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.